We're ready to start recording.
Yep.
All right, so I want to welcome everyone to the March 1st, 2025 winter meeting. We have a very special guest presentation tonight from Rich Taylor, and we look forward to that on the topic of the Lackawanna Cutoff. So we'll get to the presentation in a couple of moments. This is the board committee members that we have for the year. Um, just a membership update on the Lackawanna Cutoff Historical Committee Facebook page. We're up to 3,734 members. Chuck Walsh has been monitoring that page and continues with his daily updates from the archives. And Chuck, I think we get at least one per day, right, on the archives there.
Yeah, I try to keep to one a day unless Rich posts a photo or from other sources they come in. Of course, people can post their own, but if I see them on other pages,
Okay,
I'll repost them on ours if they're of course relevant to the cutoff or something that's kind of relevant to the Lackawanna or such.
sure. We also have the Greendell Station Facebook page. I monitor that, and along with Austin, I got to give Austin credit for monitoring that one as well. And then we have other Facebook page as well that we all kind of monitor that. Just a brief update on the Lackawanna Cutoff Historical Committee. We had a meeting with Tri-State last weekend, and we are going to collaborate with them on with that organization in an effort to get new members and share some of our members are involved in the tri-state organization. Mike Delvecchio was a big a member of both groups too, big influencer in the tri-state, and they have the library named after him. So we're just gonna share ideas and share some resources moving ahead with open houses on both ends. So Tri-State has agreed to loan out some material for our open houses this year, and some of their members may show up, and we'll be attending their September open house with URHS later this year. So look forward to that. It's an exciting partnership, and we'll see where it leads. So that's the big news with the Lackawanna Cutoff Historical Committee. Greendell Station. So we have, as of March 1st, $42,307. Thank you to Lisa for getting the mail. Major expenses coming up. We're going to have Hanson continue with the lawn service for the year. And Austin has created an Instagram account, so you can follow us on Instagram now and get some updates going on there. We are going to have some open houses this year. The April 12th one, so a little over a month, 5 weeks from now, from 9 to 12, and June 21st as well, 9 to 12. And that'll be rain or shine. So hopefully the weather holds out for that. And the April one is a makeup from the Santa, which we had to cancel due to the weather and the cold. And that would have been an outdoor event since we don't have any access to the interior of the station. Greendell Station roof update. So I've been going back and forth with DOT and some emails, and we're going to have to adhere to the payment structure that they follow. But there is a little bit of a loophole. If we do have volunteers assist us, then we don't have to pay the prevailing wage, which is a big holdup and drives up the cost. So this past week, I reached out to Habitat for Humanity, Sussex County, and they expressed interest. They actually did work with another group out in Sussex County, a historical group. So we'll see where this leads. Hopefully, this might solve the problem. We can hopefully have our roof put on and through some volunteers and move on to the next stage of restoration. So stay tuned to the Facebook page for further updates. This is kind of new and ongoing. Austin, do you want to talk about the Greendell signs?
Sure. So basically we had David Rush, former DL&W sign painter, uh, basically create replicas of the original Greendell station signs in the same exact style as the other Lackawanna station signs, and so we got 4 made. So we're planning to put those up sometime soon, probably after the roof is done. And yeah, it'll definitely be an improvement to the look of the station.
All right, and thank you for spearheading that little project there. That was very nice.
Yeah, no
Glad we were
problem.
able to do that. Chuck, Andover Station and Roseville Tunnel update. What do we have here?
All right. Well, with Andover, I was over there just a little over a week ago, and they're not really doing very much, and a lot of it has to do with the conditions. Yeah, that's all frozen solid. They had literally the uh, the engineers had gone down to Roseville Tunnel, and I met them when they got back um, to the base camp over at Andover, the trailers. And I said, "Oh, you were in the tunnel." And they said, "No, we couldn't make it to the tunnel. We didn't want to get stuck." So there really isn't. I don't know. There's a whole lot to be done anyway within the tunnel, but the thing is that the big thing that's left, at least in terms of the tunnel itself, is the communications tower, which would go on top of that ledge, which you see in the distance there above the tunnel. That's really that would complete and all the hookups that would be made, and I guess the electrical hookups as well. There's some, I don't know if this is any part of the fact there isn't much going on, but I understand there's been some problems with the local inspector as well. He's kind of a pain in the neck. But I just given the way the rest of I'll say the schedule, the time frame for the opening of service is concerned, uh, Roseville Tunnel won't be the thing that holds up the whole works. The thing that'll hold it up is if they don't do brush and tree clearing this coming winter, not this winter, but winter of 25 into 26. Because if they're going to be making the start of service in 26, early 27, as they've said they would have to do the clearing next year, next winter time, because of the Indiana bat. You can only do it during the cold months. And if they were to miss that, then it's at least another year beyond that. Now, they do have some ditch work here, which you can't really see but that's a separate project. All the stuff that has to be done is really separate from the tunnel. The tunnel was its own project. The station, the grade crossing at County Road 602, and all the remaining trackage, and of course the PTC and so forth, all would be separate installations. So, but that at this point, bottom line is there's not much that's going on. That may change, but right now there isn't.
And Amtrak.
Yeah, Amtrak. Yeah, this is and I just did a video, so it's going to be probably coming out tomorrow, which will cover a lot of this, but I'll go down the list here. So the Amtrak service for New York City to Scranton is funded under FRA's Corridor ID program, which was funded itself under the infrastructure bill in 2021. There are where there originally were 95 corridors from 46 states that applied. I call that step zero, as a matter of fact. In December of 2023, that was whittled down to 69. And then in December 20 of 24, that was whittled down to 5 that had been promoted to step 2 and 1 which is already in step 3. Now, step 2 is where you prepare a service development plan, and that's basically the blueprint used for future development, such as the design, engineering, and all that, and eventually construction and operation. But those are further down the line in terms of the actual process. The Scranton corridor has gotten money from different places. First of all, here's the one about $9 million. That was actually last October. That was for Slateford Road Bridge and the upgrade of track in Pennsylvania to Amtrak standards. supposedly have about $20 million that was cobbled together from different sources that they include with that. The problem with this funding, the Chrissy grant, is that this is possibly subject to chopping by Mr. Musk. We don't know. Anything that's through federal funding right now is at risk. Now, the good news is that PennDOT received almost $5 million to go into step two, and that's money they have. So they don't, it's not an issue. They have that money. They cash the check, they have the money. Go back. And so in any case, yeah, I have like the listing of the different steps here. FRA, nope, go back, Keith. Other way. There you go. There actually are, I'll call it 6 steps, but basically it's step 0 is application. Step 1 is where you form your team. Step 2 is where you have the SDP, which is service development plan. Step 3 is the preliminary engineering and design. Step 4 is also known as the project pipeline, where you actually start construction, final engineering and such. And then step 5 is actually where you run trains. They don't use those step numbers. They're only step 1, 2, 3 for them, but obviously these are discrete things that needs to be done. And just to point out that this grant and team, so to speak, is PennDOT, New Jersey Transit, the Pennsylvania Northeast Regional Railroad Authority, New Jersey DOT, and Amtrak consults to that. And that should be, well, we don't know exactly when that'll be completed. It may be as early as this year, but FRA has timelines which says that it could be as late as 2028, but I suspect it'll be sooner than that, depending on what happens with FRA, because that's also the staff at FRA, like staff in a number of other parts of the federal government, are now, we don't know. So if they get decimated, it's possible these timelines will slip into the future. We really just don't know. So, and then just one final point down at the bottom is that once construction starts, it's estimated it would be about 3 years from start to finish.
So, sorry about that, Chuck. I was trying to see if anybody was in the waiting room. I was trying to click.
I would see them myself, I think.
Oh,
but I don't
okay. Yeah,
see
I was
anybody.
just trying to look over. I didn't mean to go ahead there.
Yeah, no problem. I think that's it, unless there's what's on the next slide. That might be what's next. Okay, that's not me.
Yeah. Okay, so we have some upcoming train shows, and Austin, tomorrow, as a matter of fact, is the big one. You had tomorrow down in Clark. You want to mention these two here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So tomorrow is the Clark train show. So Greendell will have a table there. So come by, check it out if you plan on going to the show. And we'll actually be selling merchandise for the first time. We had some magnets made, so those will be there at like $5 a piece. So
And then in May,
we
you have the Franklin train show too.
yeah, we have the Franklin train show, which that's in May, and Greendell will be there as well. So
Cool. And we'll have the magnets, anything left over, hopefully at the open house in April. Cool. All right. Anybody have any questions? We'll do a little question and answer. If anybody has any Amtrak or New Jersey Transit Andover questions now. And and if anybody wants to, you guys can put them in the chat. I don't think we have any questions now at this time, but if anybody has any questions related to Rich's presentation, put them in the chat, and myself or Chuck or Austin, we can read them. And then we can hold off and have questions at the end. So at this time, I will turn it over to Rich and his presentation here. So we appreciate you doing this, Rich, and you're going to focus on the Lackawanna Cutoff in your presentation here, correct?
That's correct. Excuse me. To give it continuity, I'm starting at the Delaware Water Gap and working my way east.
Okay.
So it's the geographical and then chronological along the way. All right, let me start to share, and we'll start with a map here and see what happens.
Yep. Chuck, I think you have to give Rich. Do you have the ability to share your screen, or?
Yeah, I do. Let's see what happens here.
Okay.
All right. Do you have a map? Oops.
Nothing's happening.
How about now?
It says you're sharing, just nothing's come up yet. You've started sharing. There you
There
go.
we go.
Okay, do you have the full map?
We see
Yes.
it. Yep.
Okay, so, okay, guess we're good to go then. All right, I think I think it's pretty obvious I'm preaching to the choir, but I don't know if there's anyone on here that doesn't really know the history of all this stuff, but I can go over it pretty quickly here. Because we got the Morrison Exodus coming out of originally Newark, Hoboken, comes around to Summit, up to Denville. When they get to the Lake of Patgung, Port Morris, the original Delaware Lackawanna went down, the Morrison Essex came down to Washington, then headed northwest up to Slateford, to the Water Gap, and on to Scranton. The cutoff takes off here at Port Morris, cuts the corner through Greendell, Johnsonburg, Lairstown, and over to Slateford Junction. So my presentation will be starting here. Can you see this cursor all right? Is that clear?
Yes.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
We can
Okay,
see.
good. Okay, so we're going to start at the Water Gap and then work our way along the cutoff. So let's see if we get to the next here. Which and I'm not getting a. Okay, hang on a second here. Why can't I advance? I can always advance. She's not advancing. Okay. Launched. Hang on a second. Let me try something here. Not advancing. Why aren't I advancing? Try again here. Oh, come on. I do enough of these programs so I can advance. Come on. All right, I'm going to stop the share for a minute and start again. Don't know why I have a problem. Okay, it should work. Okay.
Maybe you had it in preview mode on the screen, or
Well, it usually works okay. Here we go again, but it's kind of bouncing. Yeah, normally it works okay. I usually have a problem. Oh, here we go. All right. I think we're good. Okay. All right. So, Delaware Water Gap. Here comes the eastbound Phoebe Snow. Let's see. Let me just try something at my end here. If I can move things out of the way here a bit. All right. Here we go. Okay. I think we're good here. All right. What I just did, I moved the toolbar out of the way here. So, all right. So, in 1964, obviously the Delaware Water Gap, kind of favorite pair of pictures of the Phoebe Snow for me. Lengthy train at this point. And here we go. All right. And we get up the westbound. The eastbound, curving around, coming to Point of Gap. So, okay. So now we've come around that curve, Point of Gap. And we have train number 40, the Pocono Express, a pair of passenger outgoes PAs. Interesting train. There's a Lackawanna baggage car, but here we have a ex-Erie Stillwell baggage car. There weren't many of those. Erie heavyweight coach, and then the Delaware and Hudson coach, and a long distance Stillwell on the hind end. And coming up to the home signal for Slateford Junction. Point of Gap, we got New York 98 coming east.
At the B&O.
Right at Point of Gap, and because this is where various misadventures over the years, a steam locomotive rolled over there back in the 40s maybe. Jersey Central ZS 99 derailed here. Some runaway hopper cars from Port Morris derailed here back in the late 50s, I think that was. But anyhow, 1965, the Erie Lackawanna has been around for about 5 years. They kind of stayed with the Erie black and yellow color scheme. but then they started to go with the Lackawanna scheme, and that's what we're seeing here. Okay, this is the Washington drill coming off the old road. Looks like it's just a double track, but at this point in time, it's actually still on the old road. The signal and switch is behind me, and this is 1965. The home signals. And there's been some discussion, I had this on Facebook page, whether this Fairbanks Morse unit is actually running with the Baldwins. And maybe yes, maybe not. There's a real discussion about that. So that's real, might be just dead in tow, going back to Scranton. They spent a lot of time on the Bangor in Portland. Now this picture here is postcard, obviously. There's a 1921 date on it, and I find it pretty fascinating. The cutoff on the left is single track, and the old road seems to be maybe the roadbed being widened. Anybody have any suggestions? It's the only time I've ever seen this car. Unfortunately, it's in my collection, but really not quite sure what's happening here. Flood damage or some other improvement, but why is the cutoff single track? And so it's a rhetorical question because I don't have an answer.
Rich, I sincerely doubt that this is 1921. I think this is most likely before the line opened. This might be 1911.
I don't know. I mean, what do you think? I mean, this looks like it's been there for a while. And what I'm looking ahead is, see this fresh fill here? It seems to carry around. Again, this is artistic license with postcards, but it almost seems like they're repairing flood damage.
It's like a ballast train. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Oh, this is, yeah. There's some sort of little center cab by the looks of it. So I don't know. This doesn't look new to me, and that's again, that's why I'm throwing it out. It looks like this fresh fill here, and obviously quite a few people there. So anyhow, there it is, but there's the water gate in the distance. So yeah, is it when it was first opened? I don't know. There's something else going on here.
Or maybe even before it opened. I mean, that would be I've never seen it. I mean, it only became single track in the 60s.
Oh yeah, 1958. Yeah. So yeah, this again, here it is, and we can debate it, but I really don't. There it is. But there was somebody written 1921 on the card. So anyhow, okay. So Sleaford Bridge, and here's the turntable that was there.
Wow.
And that certainly brings up some discussion about why that was there. And so what could it be? Were there pushes based out of here that would push east on the cutoff? Was it there for some other reason? I mean, you have the Y over Portland, so you really wouldn't need anything coming in there would just turn on the Y. But there might still be evidence of this. Sometimes you can see that concrete pit if the ground has been cleared.
What year is this, Rich?
Don't have a date. It's a print in my collection. As you see, I put Samuel Roth photo. He took stuff in the 30s, so I'm kind of thinking it might be that. I have some photos of his of rolling stock and things that from the 30s, like 1937, 38. And I'm thinking this is that same era.
This is one of the best pictures I've seen of the turntable. I've never seen one like I don't know, Chuck, have you seen any pictures of the turntable?
Yeah, and I don't. My impression is that the turntable didn't even make it into the 30s. It was a short turn turbo. I think it's like 60 foot, which was part of the issue. The other one is that, and I don't know this for a fact, but I suspect that they might have had trains that were coming up from Portland, and then they turned the locomotive to go back up the cutoff. In other words, there was no way to do that directly, of course. But at some point they realized that, to your point, Rich, that they could do that with the Y at Portland, I suspect, and being a very short turntable, it just might have just been fairly useless because the locomotives were getting too big. So that's probably the reason why they abandoned it. And you can see here, there's not a whole lot of room anyway to make it any bigger. So, but you can see all the tracks here, and these are two mainline tracks. I think they were in the bottom of the photo. There was a there actually were as many as 4 tracks here on the cutoff and 2 on the old road, and then the track that went into the turntable. But yeah, I don't think the turntable lasted all that long because it was just it wasn't of any use.
Right, and if you look to the left, just above where it says Samuel, it looks like there were weeds growing there between the rails. So maybe even been out of service at that point.
Yeah, because you think of what a 60-foot, how many 60-foot or how many locomotives and tenders at 60 foot would fit onto a turntable once you get into the 1930s. Those engines start getting pretty long. I mean, I think a lot of I think you're getting up to like 90-foot turntables at this point almost. So that's I suspect that it just became obsolete.
Right, and obviously it's been gone for a long time.
Right.
And if we look down the lower center, you can see the rods, which I believe that controls. It looks like a split rail derail right there.
Huh.
Right here. Looks like a derail.
Interesting.
And then the rods there. So, okay. So moving along. Slateford Junction, and here's a Penn Railroad E6 Atlantic with a fairly healthy train coming out of East Stroudsburg. Gonna go down to Mononkechunk. The later years, it was Sunday only. This year, I don't have a date on this either, but it's made by the same photographer, Samuel Roth. So it looks like, I don't know, he's got 2 combines in this train. It's a mixture of, look like suburban cars, look like P-54 coaches. So maybe just, a Sunday holiday train. But anyhow, one of the few Penn Railroad pictures I have on the cutoff, or not on the cutoff, but on the coming through the water gap. Okay. So here we are, 1966, and Phoebe Snow coming east. And stand at this location today. It's hard to believe this existed, but I guess it's all going to come back if we live long enough.
And the bridge in which you're standing has been filled in. That has to be replaced.
Right. Do you know if the bridge is still there? They just covered it?
No, it was taken out, and they
was
they
taken
filled
out.
it in. Yeah, it was taken out.
Okay.
I thought that it was partially filled in, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's well, no. Well, they took the bridge out. The ends, I guess you could say, were I don't know. I mean, but I mean, where the cutoff was is filled in with
Yeah, right.
fill or dirt or whatever. Actually, their tracks is track underneath there too. They buried the track.
Did they?
Yes.
All right. Well, I guess, well, it's going to have to be rebuilt anyhow.
Yes.
And, when you start looking at these photos from 60 years ago, look at the code line, the telegraph lines along the right side there. I mean, that's certainly part of the railroad scene that's long gone.
Mm.
And then we have the 759, 1971. 759 is the engine that is in the roundhouse at Steamtown. And he gets pulled out every so often. Train coming off the old road on the right, just waiting for the eastbound steam train to clear. And of course, with a photo like this, you look at these automobiles. It wasn't a classic car collection at that time.
Yeah, really.
And the business car, Erie Lackawanna number 2, that's up on the Delaware Lackawanna today at Scranton. I believe it's Dave Monteverdi's private car, but anyhow, it's still around. And the observation car is the from the Broadway Limited, Pennsylvania Railroad, Mountain View. This would have been Iron Horse Randall Street. Yeah. Okay, we got Lake City's coming east, train number 6. Early morning trips out of 1966. Let's see, 67 this is. We've been living in Karlstad at this time.
How early did you have to get up in order to get this photo?
Well, you got to keep in mind that it's like in this era, Route 80 wasn't built yet. There was only I think at this time, probably a short section between Denville and Mekong. The rest of it was Route 46. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, it was pretty early. Yeah, then you got the one shot. That was it. Hope for the best with the weather and the sun. And anyhow, so the arch that is a road today, paralleling Interstate 80, was actually the Susquehanna right-of-way. And you see a water gap in the background behind this wooden building. And this is 1909. And so this arch is still there, and you can drive through it. And this is 1910, and it's the arch itself has been completed. And you kind of see the Susquehanna disappearing off into the distance here. But this is, as I mentioned, the road today.
Yeah, that's Simpson Road.
And now the next arch over, this is on the left is Route 94, and the arch here, which goes to a sports area called the Tunnel, I think.
Tunnel Field. Yep.
Tunnel Field. Okay, if I bring it up, there's what appears to be a Lehigh New England boxcar, and the track ends right there. So, did the track ever extend any further? Did anything ever go into that arch? This picture shows they got close but didn't go through. But anyhow, this is one of Burnell's pictures from the construction era.
Not clear that it actually got that far. And of course, the LNE only partially graded the line that they were planning on building to replace their trackage rights over the Susquehanna, which is just off to the left by I don't know, a mile or so. And it supposedly, well, I understand, like you have to ask Fred Heilich, but there are places where the grading still exists, but for the most part, it never really got any further than this.
Yeah,
The actual main line is not too far from here, where it must have backed out of here, and then
Oh yeah, it's just that when you're on 94 and you get close to where the LNE main came across, you can see some right away on the right, and it looks like they may have had some sort of an unloading facility there. It's long gone, but this time of year with the foliage down, if you look around back in there, you can actually see a little bit of right away. But right here, this is a road today. So
yes.
Anyhow, moving along. So we have a postcard from probably 1912. Everything's brand new. Lackawanna Limited or something like that. The water gap's visible over the semaphores on the right. The Susquehanna's coming under the second arch. There's no evidence of it in this image here, but
it's been obliterated.
Yeah. And now in this picture, which has got a 1912 date on it, looks you can see the Susquehanna on the lower left. That's a creamery on the lower left, and there's maybe a Central Railroad New Jersey boxcar there. But you see the track going behind the embankment here, and of course the Paulin's Kill out here. This is a John Treen photo. Everyone may not be aware of who John Treen was, but he was a Susquehanna conductor and carried his camera with him all the time, apparently all the time. He just photographed the most wonderful things. And he would have been probably working the train at this day. The Susquehanna, the train would be out of view to the left here. And we have another picture, you'll actually see it. But it's an AB set of F3s coming east with a freight over the Paulin's Kill Viaduct. Now, in this picture, we have westbound FTs, appear to be FTs, maybe F3s. Anyhow, and there's the Susquehanna freight. It looks like you can see the caboose there. The first hopper car, well, the first one's Lehigh Valley. The second one's CRP, which was Central Railroad of Pennsylvania, which was a Jersey Central subsidiary. It only lasted a short time. It was a way to try and beat some of the New Jersey taxes. And then We got this picture here, and we got an ABA set of F3s coming east, and there's the Susquehanna Freight down in the lower left corner. I knew John reasonably well. I wasn't a really close friend, but I knew him for quite some time, and he was a really interesting guy. But the fact that he knew what he was photographing too, he didn't just take a lot of pictures. What train this is? Can't say. Pair of F3s and something in the morning going east. Okay, so now we're back to my stuff, 1966. This is the Phoebe Snow. This is one of those days you're talking about. You would leave northern New Jersey.
57-minute hop on. Very interesting.
I'm sorry, what was that? Oh, okay. Anyhow, the weather would go bad, and that's what happened here. It's pouring raining. Long before the weather app and things like that. But anyhow, it's what it is. And there goes Phoebe Snow heading toward Blairstown. Okay, another day, 1966, and this is in the morning, and this is the Lake Cities Express coming in. Try and second guess the light. Maybe a half hour later, maybe the viaduct would have been in sun. But anyhow, time is running out for these trains, and just get them when you can. Okay, now this is 1968, and this is again the Lake Cities. If anyone remembers George Brisso, very good friend that passed away 1996. But anyhow, he and I used to go out in the morning to get the stuff. Now, if you notice, the second arch has got a lot of black grit, from the steam locomotives running under there for years. That's the Susquehanna under there. And the sleeper that day was the Pequist. This was an ex-Lackawanna sleeper, and they were named after various waterways along the way.
He's outside? Oh, he's in.
Okay, there we are, 1970, and another trip with the 759. Again, you see the trees are really starting to grow up here. And just these really interesting trains they could put together. The stainless steel cars, ex-Santa Fe, Jersey Central Combine, Clover Colony, heavyweight sleeping, because there's the Mountain View again. And the water gap in the background. All right, let's see. Okay, this is coming west. Let's see, this is train 43 at the twilight coming out of Blairstown. And we got Phoebe Snow coming into Blairstown from the Heller Hill Road.
Yep.
There's Blairstown Station up ahead. Okay, again, Phoebe Snow coming into Blairstown. Conveniently spotted boxcar, made for a nice photo platform. And heavyweight diner, ex-Erie. So we have 4 coaches, so fairly heavy train that day. He's a sleeper in the Tavern Lounge. Okay, John train photo, 1951. It's got right at the end of steam. You see the second car is one of the Phoebe Snow coaches. And there's some heavyweight stuff behind that. Which train it is not identified, so hard to say. I noticed the theory or Lackawanna color scheme, but it says GM. These were the demonstrators. Apparently, General Motors was convinced the Lackawanna was going to purchase these, and they painted them up in their color scheme. But they were still lettered for General Motors Electromotive. All that smoke is probably from a departing steam locomotive going east. John Train. A couple of things to point out in this particular picture. If you notice the pilot, it's got a coupler cover, and it's a smooth pilot. When the Lackawanna actually purchased them, they were sent back, and the front end was rebuilt. And we'll see that later, of course. But I noticed the lettering for Electromotive Division of General Motors. So John somehow knew this was coming. Now this one's create a little bit of discussion. It's now lettered for Lackawanna, but it still has that earlier pilot. And they were sent back to, I believe, General Motors, and that was taken off. But kind of a rare photo from what I'm told. Interesting car in the hind end. And see the conductor riding in the vestibule, looking back.
Now, what we're looking at here, and actually now there are two bridges. This is Route 521, but now there are two bridges that have been the original plus a new one that was, I think, 2007 that was added. But in the distance, we see a farm crossing bridge.
Is that what that is?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. And in fact, Heller Hill, there are a whole bunch of in this one area. There's more overhead bridges than anywhere else on the cutoff. There's Heller Hill, and then there's another farm crossing bridge beyond Heller Hill going westbound from the station. In other words, the opposite direction that we're looking right now.
Yeah, look at this stuff. I mean, 60, 70 years ago. But I'm looking at this hind end car here. I don't know. Does it look like it has a window in the back? Maybe for backup moves? I don't know. Interesting car. And it bounces around some other people too, historic, and really can't figure out what car that is. Anyhow, okay, we're over at Johnsonburg. Post 60.9. It's Lake City's doing track speed. Okay, Johnsonburg, one of the Brunel pictures, 1912. In this case, the creamery looks like it's more of an ice house, right? I mean, that's kind of what it looks like with the vertical lifting on the equipment on the left side there. No, but anyhow, it's Johnsonburg.
I think the ice house is behind it, Rich. There's look. There's that little bit. Look right next to the car, and then go left. There's another you can see the edge of a building there.
Oh, back in here.
Yeah. I think that's the ice out back there. I think we're looking at I think, I'm not 100% sure here. It's a good point. It's one or the other.
Yeah,
one's a creamery, one's an ice house.
And this is my shot. And, Phoebe Snow coming through. Got up under the eaves of the Johnsonburg station. So, this isn't the building that's in the previous picture. So,
yeah, so that's probably the creamery.
Yeah. Anyhow, it was all still there in 66. And then this 81, it's almost too sad to post it, right? Look at the conditions of things here. And,
it doesn't take long.
No, the whole thing. I mean, the station's been burned and the creameries are wrecked. Anyhow, sometimes it's good to live in the past. I guess you guys know where this is.
Yep.
Westbound. No, it looks kind of like maybe a milk train, Mail and Express. First car is a milk car, from what I can see. Then maybe baggage car, a rider coach, and then maybe more milk cars. whatever. It's a John Train picture, and don't know any more about it than that. 802 was the first time I got into a locomotive cab. It was over by the Henderson Street turntable in Jersey City, and it was with my father. And come on, kid, come up in the cab. So it was 802, long time ago. All right, and then this. So now, from what I'm seeing, things are much better. Is the tower still there?
Yes.
It is, right?
Yep.
Yeah. What's the condition of that? Is that in the preservation now, or
It's in poor condition.
is it?
It's so far we've been focusing on the station, but it does come up a lot that if the tower will be preserved, but after the station, but we're keeping an eye on it. It's seen better days.
Yeah.
And the photo's a little deceiving. It looks like the tower is very close to the station, and it's not. So from our perspective, it's kind of problematic because it's really in a sense off in the woods, and it's also not on the property that we have leased either. But there's no access to the second floor anymore, and but it's still solid. I mean, concrete. I mean, you take probably dynamite to take it down. So maybe at some point, but first things first.
First things first. That's right. All right, so let's see. This is the Pequest Phil, another John Train picture taken from behind the hind end of a train. Because all this has grown up now. Services. When service starts again, will they really clear the trees, or will there still be a tunnel up there? I guess a rhetorical question, of course. But anyhow, heading west, looking down at the Lehigh and Hudson River. Looking at the John Train picture. He's got here 1950. There's a grade crossing here, and this farm bridge was still there. The railroad's abandoned now. But I think the next, right. This is my picture of a steam trip on the Lehigh and Hudson River. There's that farm bridge. And of course, the horizon is the cutoff. Lehigh and Hudson River hosted a number of steam trips. It was a friendly railroad, and some really good opportunity to get trains in the middle of the day. Anyhow, so that's the railroad east heading toward Warwick. And this is going, let me just think here. This is 1971. This is taken from that farmer's bridge, and there's the cutoff in the background. So a few more trees. I think this trip came out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. It's going to Warwick. Okay, Andover. Take it from the cutoff. Route 206 on the right. The Sussex branch heading railroad west, kind of heading north in this scene here. And that's why the Branchville. And this is my picture. Again, pouring rain, but coming under the cutoff, coming railroad east, heading toward Netcong. And that's in my picture here. That's why I think probably George Bristol, maybe Bob Mahowski standing up there. Maybe Bill Gunter here. Anyhow, we got a train going to Branchville, and it's going to duck under the cutoff, which is just directly over my right shoulder here. Like there.
So we have a question in the comments from Gregory. Does the Lehigh and Hudson River still exist, or has it been abandoned or converted to a road or part of another line? So
I guess I could go ahead. I was going to say yes, 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 and yes.
It's all the above, I guess, right? I mean, part of it is the Susquehanna from Sparta Junction up through where it connects in with the old Erie.
Right.
Ogdensburg Mine.
What's that?
And also the Ogdensburg Mine.
That too, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's also abandoned And is it a trail or anything at any part? I guess it is, right? Yeah.
Partially.
Yeah.
Partially, right? Down by good old Buttsville, down that way somewhere, right? Is I think down in there might be a trail.
Yeah,
I'm over in Alamucci, and it's a trail going through there, and it goes all the way to Buttsville. Yeah.
Down there, right? Because I know some places it's completely abandoned. Right? It's grown over, but
Yes, the bridge leading to the Ogdensburg mine was actually demolished, I think, 2-3 months ago. When I went on a tour last April, it was there, and I went passing through the area like 2 months ago, and it's gone.
Okay. Yeah. That's Susquehanna uses it past there now, though, right? Past Ogdensburg.
Yes, yes, currently, yeah.
Okay.
yeah. What was it? 32 miles of the LNHR ended up with Jerry Turco when he bought the cutoff. He bought both from Belvedere up to, I guess, Sparta Junction. And I don't know if they've cleared out underneath the cutoff, but that for many years that's been blocked. You couldn't get access, and that was part of the problem with making it a continuous trail because there was no way to get through the cutoff. It was blocked off, and they talked about actually having the trail go around through one of the tunnels, but on one of the roads, and that was rejected. So that's been a real big sticking point because the guy who owns it or uses that part underneath the tunnel has been stored all sorts of junk underneath there. And well, anyway, that's a long story. So it's not a contiguous trail yet, but that's the plan.
all right. And I guess the other section of the LNHR that's actually torn up is from where it ducks under the Graham line up to Maybrook. That track has been removed. So anyhow, so yeah, but the part that Susquehanna operates, it's been improved, and I guess we got the tri-weekly freight, I guess, issue 99.
Two times a week, if we're lucky these days.
Yeah. So anyhow, so obviously they're coming through Roseville Tunnels, Phoebe Snow. And down in there is where the Andover station is going to be, I guess, right somewhere back in there. Okay, let's see. Train 40, the Pocono Express behind the case of PA Alcos here. Probably just a 3-car train. And Phoebe Snow coming east. Comment about the telltales in the picture. You don't see a lot of pictures of those. They've been going a long time, but for anyone that may not know what they're for, if someone's on the roof of a freight car, brakeman, roof of a boxcar, approaching any sort of obstruction, those hanging ropes would give warning that there's something behind you if you're looking the other way, looking back. So anyhow, telltales. And if you were to be riding on the roof and you feel those things, the first thing you do is just fall to the deck because you're going to go into something low. Anyhow, telltales. Okay, westbound Phoebe Snow. And I think this is called the Whartonville. Does that sound right? I remember reading that somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah, and somebody asked me about getting up there. So if I remember, I parked on the road and hiked up there. But weren't the first person to do it. Somebody had a little camp up there. There was actually evidence of a campfire. But anyhow, nice to be up there and hear them coming. Same location in 1975, and this is the Jersey Central freight that ran. Well, it was a joint Jersey Central, Erie, Lackawanna. ES 99 was the westbound Elizabethport to Scranton. The end of March of 72, Jersey Central pulls out of Pennsylvania, but they still want to keep their connections to the west. So an arrangement was made with the Erie Lackawanna to run a joint service. And that's what you see here is Jersey Central locomotive leading, 2 Erie Lackawanna locomotives, and then somewhere around 70, 80 cars heading to Scranton. Okay, coming into Port Morris, I believe the west leg of the Y is just to my left. If I remember right, this is 1965, but it caught us off guard. I was with somebody else walking down to get the location, trying to set up, and here he comes. A little bit anyhow. So it's the Pocono Express, just 3 cars, 2 coaches, and I think a buffet lounge. So, okay, the Lake Cities Express one, it was a healthy train coming past Port Morris Yard, towers over my right shoulder. That is frost on the front of the locomotive. It was brutally cold, somewhere 0 or 5 below. And guys are coming, and that was what's left of Port Morris Yard. From what I've been trying to remember, what people have been telling me to refresh my memory, cars would be left there for the local freight that would take them over to Chester Junction, down to Lake Junction on Jersey Central. But the yard itself has been closed. Now, of course, that's New Jersey Transit's layover yard today. Another John train picture, taken from the hind end of a train, and there's a westbound freight in the clear. So it looks like a steam locomotive working the yard, or on the right. So this is 1950. Okay, a couple of my favorite shots here. D.B. Snow, January of '66. And, you know, I think back to those days, boy, really bad snow. Let's go out and get some pictures. And did pretty well that day. There was hardly any traffic. And you can see, I think you can see the operator standing on that right window, watching number 1 go by. The first car was an ex-milk car converted to express service. The point is that it's got a recessed door. Most express cars would have a door on the outside like a box car, but anyhow. So that's a spotting point on those cars. And of course the OBS. Okay, different day. This is 65. And here comes the HS9. HS is Hoboken Scranton. And they called it Hoboken Yard. It was actually Jersey City. But at this point in time, it may have even been coming out of Croxton Yard in Secaucus. But anyhow, it still carried the symbol of HS9. And this is the one some of us were talking about earlier. It had 8 F units or 8 cab units. There's an alcohol mixed in there. And the head end brakeman, or the fireman, probably head end brakeman, is leaning out to get the order on the right here. This is called a high-speed order fork. And what it says, you have this message, could be a train order, could be something else. It's a message on a string that's tied around him. And his arm is going to go through this, and that string is going to release, and he'll have the whole message all around his arm, and then take it in. And there would be another fork like this set up out of sight to the left in this case, I guess, that the conductor would get in the caboose. So the engineer and the conductor would both have the same information. Before radio. And you can see the ice stripping off the number board here. So it's all General Motors except for the alcohol mixed in here.
I think that the train's a little underpowered.
Yeah, my recollection, and boy, can't prove one way or the other. These things didn't MU nose to nose. And I recall being told there was another crew on the second set here. And somebody say, yeah, but it looks like they're shut down because of all the ice. Well, maybe, but you can see it looks like the lights on in the engine room. So are there 2 crews? I don't know. All I can tell you is there are 8 cab units on this train, and they're heading west. So, and the operator was Bill Langdon that was heading up the orders. Okay, inside the tower. Let's see. So you have what's called the model board. That John train picture earlier with the freight on the side track, that's here, and the tape is covering it. Let me just see if I can see just where things are here. It does say Port Morris. Here's the tower right here. It says Port Morris Junction, and it indicates the tower. So this is coming in off the old road from Netcom. You have the yard leads here. And let's see, you got the eastbound main. And it shows an occupancy. This was the eastbound slow, they used to call that. That was for like the slow-moving freights or trains that would tie up here for going to the yard, whatever. And there were always cars sitting there, so you have an occupancy light here. There's nothing else on the board. You can see there's tape all over. All these tracks been taken out of service, removed. It says here to Hoboken. So it's electromechanical. These levers had to be thrown in the correct order so that there would be no conflicting move. There's no way the towerman could divert two trains into each other. It's all mechanically interlocked. If you can see under this glass, you can actually see all these metal bars. And now, if I'm not mistaken, this little over here was a small CTC machine. I believe that controlled the crossovers at Greendell. Unfortunately, I didn't photograph it. And when they took that tower out of service, they moved the responsibility here. So Port Morris only controlled the junction here. But the CTC...
Nobody knows where this model board went after the tower shut down. Really?
Yeah. And these are timers. If you had to make a change, they misaligned the train. You had to stop it. Oh, wait a minute. I'm lining them the wrong way. I'm sending a Phoebe Snow to Netcom. Wait a minute. You had to crank one of these things, and it would all depend on how long. 60 seconds, 90 seconds. And I think some of the theory is stop and think. Well, this thing times and runs itself down. You would turn the knob here, and it would wind. And it locked everything up until the time cleared. Okay, taken from the tower, local freight coming off the old road from Netcom from Washington. You want to debate where those two Burlington route stock cars are coming from? What did they deliver? Why are there stock cars on the Washington branch? Bringing cows to the Ideal Dairy. I think there was some sort of an auction at Hackettstown. But anyhow, they were stock cars. When I took these pictures, of course, this is 1964. So, but be up there with the tower, man. It was a great place to hang out. Just go up there and swap stories. Another day, 1964. Coming east, NE2. And anyhow, we have the fog. I'm going to drop some cars over at the yard and then continue east. He's on that side track, what they refer to as the slow. So here's your westbound, here's your eastbound. And he's on the slow. And here's the home signal coming off the old road. Okay, the Branchville train. Train 1059, this is 1965. Again, I mentioned earlier about the telegraph line, how prominent it is off to the right here. And take it right from the tower. Okay, NE2 again on a slightly better day, one car in the yard. And you can see the brakeman riding on the steps, riding low. He's going to drop down and make the cut. Okay, this is the train that went to Phillipsburg. And remember, he's going to pull up and take cars into the yard. I'm trying to remember exact. Right, he's going to lead in, and there was just two tracks at this time. I think it's 67 when this was taken. And he's going to pull and drop some cars there and then continue west. Okay, this is at joint Erie Lackawanna Jersey Central train ES 99 come past the tower. Speed limit signs on the right. He's on track 2, and the speed limit signs do indicate track 2, and not the local track here, the slow. Looks like the third unit is a Jersey Central. Okay, just a couple of my pictures. Early on, just snapshot stuff. 1958, 58 at Port Morris. And off to the left, you can see some F units. This was the first fan trip I rode, September of 58. They went out of Hoboken behind 3 or ABA set of F3s, out the old road, all the way to Binghamton. And then this is before the merger. And then the Erie had a pair of PAs and brought us back down the Delaware Division through Port Jervis. What a way for the first fan trip. It rained all day, but it was really quite a day. But my first trip up there. And again, this is from that train. It's just looking, again, maybe you can see the streaks coming down in front of the roundhouse here. It was pouring raining. And at this point, I'm just a kid with a camera, but a snapshot camera I borrowed. But anyhow, 1958. Port Morris. This is 1964 fan trip. And we could talk about this for a while. This train went out to Susquehanna all the way to Sparta Junction, came down the Lehigh and Hudson River to Andover Junction, and came back through Port Morris. One of those fantastic days. Okay, here's the P. Burger coming through Port Morris and heading directly out onto the old road. Not sure if it says that Andy Peters and Jackie Simmons. I never wrote their names down at the time, really friendly guys. And you know, if I had the time, they wanted to take me all the way to Phillipsburg. Whatever I was doing, I probably should have let that go and just ridden the train. But anyhow, inside of an F unit. Okay, the Branchville train again, 1965. This road on the right was actually the old right-of-way up to the freight house, which was up at road level by Landing. Okay, Deadhead moved it to 759. Come through Phillipsburg, and Deadheading to Hoboken for a fan trip, I believe. So in 1973, and there's a Jersey Central locomotive here, and did a little checking in, and what it was, the engine was shut down, as I recall, and so I guess I posted this on maybe the Jersey Central page, but anyhow, what it was, when the Jersey Central pulled out of Pennsylvania in 1972, they took over part of the Lehigh, New England, out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And they kept their locomotives there. They had 2 or 3 locomotives. When they had to get to Elizabethport for service, they would interchange them with the Lackawanna at Bath, take them to Port Morris. Well, it would take them to Portland. NE2 would pick it up, bring it here. This is the interchange with the Jersey Central at Lake Junction. They'll take the locomotive there with that interchange, and then the Jersey Central will take it to Eastport. At the same time, there'd be one going west. So anyhow, long story short, for Lackawanna Rest sitting on the siding here, but there it is, Port Morris. And because when you look at pictures like this, you look at the freight cars, because Penn Central's long gone, with Pittsburgh and Lake Erie, being Atlantic coastline, Great Northern, see Rocky the Goat there, I think. Main line of Mid-America, Illinois Central. All foreign flags. Grab shot in front of Port Morris Tower. A milk car. Not handling milk that day. And I believe they went to someplace in the Bronx. And they were unloaded off the Harlem Division. Well, all things come to an end. 1979, a rail's been taken out. things don't look so good. I think it's my 79, my 76 Ford sitting over there. And just to finish it up, I mentioned John Treen umpteen times. Here's John with the conductor's uniform, and Walter Rich up at Wyco. But that was John, the way I know him, and working for Delaware Seago at that point. So that's it. That's my program on the cutoff.
It was amazing. Very, very informative and very, very good material. I've never seen a lot of those photos before. It's that was enlightening. Very good. If anybody has any questions, you can post them in the chat or ask Rich directly. Rich, did you ever come across the Freedom Train when it ran?
Yeah, the one in was it 1976? That one is that one?
Mhm.
Yeah. Let me just think. I saw it when it was at Morris Plains.
Okay.
Signing there. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I got it out on the road. I don't think I even did. I'm trying to remember. You got the 1969 trip leaving Harmon with the 759 painted blue. Okay, I'm getting Genevieve said thanks. The actual Freedom trying to get out on the road.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to. Timing was such. A lot of what you saw here, most of everything, was near the end. Conrail is 1976. Everything's going to change. And but somebody's talking about my PRSL shirt. Anywhere to say the system? I can answer that. Well, it all depends where you are in the PRSL. Down the south end, nothing going on down the Cape. But anyhow, my daughter's born in 1967. My son's born in 1970. So early 70s, a lot of time spent with family. And then Conrail comes in. And all my favorite roads are gone. And we were talking about it a little bit early before the show. Going to see one of those brand new Lehigh Valley locomotives that, that nice Cornell red with the big billboard letters saying Lehigh Valley. Here we are. When somebody took black paint with a roller, just over the whole thing. Maybe it's time to do something else and spend time with the kids. And so there's a big gap in my photography. But as time went on, the magic was really kind of gone. My interest was preserving a way of life that's gone.
No, very
the
good,
Illinois
very
Central
nice.
Box. Well, I was just gonna say, you watch the trains go by and look at the names. The Burlington, everywhere west, or on the other side of the car would say Way of the Zephyr. I think Route of the North Coast Limited, all these magical names, and all that just went away. Now, I'm not trying to be a cranky old man here. I mean, Carol and I have ridden probably every long distance train more than once on Amtrak. Not too recently with the crummy service they've been offering lately, but that's it's another conversation. So just the interest changed.
Sure. Yeah. We appreciate this time that you gave to our group. You're more than welcome to come back, and if you want to present on if you have more Lackawanna or Erie stuff in the future, you have some great material. If you want to share it, you're more than welcome to come back again. And we have a Zoom link that'll be posted, and this presentation will be on our Facebook. On our YouTube channel. Probably tomorrow, right, Austin? Or maybe not tomorrow because there's a Clark show, but maybe Monday or Tuesday.
It'll be up right as the meeting ends.
There you go.
Stream live.
Oh, good. So my wife, she can sit through this. Okay. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I got a lot of stuff. I mean, let me just think here. I'm trying to think what date it actually is. Not this coming week, but the week after. I'm doing my Lehigh and Hudson River program for the anthracite, ARHS. That's a Zoom meeting.
Sure.
We'll be doing that next Monday. Yeah, not this Monday, but a week out. For a private group of about 40 people. So I'm going to be doing my New York and Longbridge program.
Wow. We're not going to meet on Zoom until fall, so we have a little gap. We take the summers off, and the time change next week and everything. So we'll be back in November, but if we'll shoot you an email if you're interested, and you can come back, and you're more than welcome. I think everyone enjoyed it here, and look for the comments on the YouTube channel.
Okay, and somebody just said they'd like to see the PRSL stuff. My
Yeah.
slides have been posted on the. There were 2 different PRSL Facebook pages. So if you just search my name on those 2 pages, you'll probably come up with a ton of stuff. Because I don't know who it was that made the comment, but they're still here. We spent those early 70s summer vacation in Wildwood, and the PRSL was still running RDC trades into Wildwood. And the way they ran it was a train RDC car that went down to Cape May, and they would come into Wildwood in the morning, go to the stub terminal, and then back out again. In the afternoon, they would do the same thing. So you had 4 shots at it every day. And it was just one RDC car running through the weeds. Just time passed, and somehow it survived as late as it did. I mean, that's only part of it, but I mean, just so whoever's looking for PRSL stuff, if you're on Facebook, go to those PRSL Facebook pages and put my name, Rich Taylor. That's how I put them up. And you should find a bunch of stuff. So anyhow, well, I got the rest of the evening, but if you guys want to leave, it's all right with me.
I don't know. Does anybody have any more questions, or does anybody have any comments, or where can we find that New York and Long Branch meeting? Somebody's asking in the group. Is there a presentation you have, a Zoom on that one, or?
I do. Yeah, I have it. I don't have it. I have it scheduled for a private group.
Okay.
Yeah, that's but I mean, I can do it. I mean, but I don't know is that appropriate for this group. I mean, I know you probably want more Lackawanna or.
No, I think they're looking to join that one when you're presenting to that group. I think that's if I'm reading the question.
Oh, yeah. I just mentioned that I have that program, but I'm trying to think. The New York and Long Branch Facebook page, I think, changed a while ago. I had a lot of stuff on there, and I'm not sure if it's the current group still has my pictures. Again, on these various Facebook pages, rare Facebook pages, like I mentioned Lehigh Valley, CNJ, Lehigh and Hudson River, New York Central. But just put my name, Rich Taylor, and in the search bar on those pages, and you're going to get a hit of some kind. And just take a look and see what's there. And if you have any questions, you can always private message me.
Yeah, it looks like
that's no problem.
Thomas Bush says he lives in Long Branch, so he says thank you. So he'll look you up, I guess. Yeah,
that's fine. Like I mentioned earlier when we were chatting, there's no point in having all the stuff. You're not going to share it.
Sure.
And in this particular program tonight, I used a lot of John Train stuff to fill it out. Most of my programs, so it's just really my own stuff. But I'm glad John took those pictures. And he's been gone for years.
Did you know an engineer by the name of Sid Denny with Theory Lackawanna by any chance?
I know him a couple of years ago. We discussed. He was running the sand trains.
Yeah.
Okay, and now I started posting stuff on Facebook. I'm going to say 2010.
Okay.
Oh, it was somewhere after that. I put up the pictures I took of the sand train coming through Arlington Station on the Old Greenwood Lake. Mm-hmm. Sid Denny was the engineer.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, and he contacted me. Yeah, and then it turns out at the time I was managing the accrediting for PSC&G, and he maybe still does manages the Erie Lackawanna accrediting. And we had a lot of things to talk about, to say the least.
Yeah, no, he's a character. I know him from the Maywood. I was involved with the Maywood train station on the Susquehanna, and he I guess he just retired from Conrail, or he made it to CSX. I don't know, but he goes back to the Erie Lackawanna, and he ran over the cutoff, and he could tell you some stories.
Yeah, we were going to get together, but it never happened. I think he was living on, again, this is probably 10 years ago now, thinking about it. But I think he lived in Lyndhurst, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Does that sound right? And
Yeah,
then I
yeah,
was
that's
in,
probably right. Yeah,
and I was in Kearney. So we're close. Let's get together. Well, there's like a lot of things that just didn't happen. And now I'm down in Central Jersey, and we kind of lost touch. But
He's a
again, so did I
character.
notice that, Jenny? Yeah, we had some interesting chats, digital chats.
Yeah, he's quite the character, I can tell you that. He's
Yeah,
maybe not appropriate for Zoom meetings, some of his stories.
yeah. I guess it all depends. Yeah. But there are a lot of stories, and sometimes you don't want to put things out to the public either.
Yeah.
Some people might get offended or whatever. But yeah. So no. So do I know him? Well, not really. If you mention my name to him, he might not
Yeah.
remember the
No,
conversation.
he knows, yeah, he's he's
But anyhow,
Chuck, any final comments or anything? Or Matt or Lisa, Austin, any comments?
No questions, just very appreciative. That was wonderful.
well, you're welcome. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for the opportunity to
Thanks
share
very
this.
much.
And I got a lot of stuff. I mean, I can start pulling stuff up right now, but I think look at here. Was it 8:55? I go. Another 4 hours. Are you?
Yeah, if you like I said, if you want to come back and do another one on the passenger operations on Lackawanna or Erie, you're more than welcome to.
Well, yeah. I mean, we could. I believe you told me somewhere around 35 minutes, 40 minutes. I think this probably ran longer than that. I wasn't.
No, that was good. You're good on
Was it
time.
about right?
That's good. Yeah. No, we
Yeah,
were.
I mean, I was say, you can take not try to do the whole railroad. There's just too much. Maybe take the Sussex branch and maybe the Gladstone branch.
Yeah, that would
Something
be
like
something to
that.
look forward to. Absolutely.
That's
How
when
much time you need to put together your presentations, but yeah, we'll pencil you in for November then, and we'll be in contact. That'd be great to have a continuation from this one then.
All right. Yeah. Well, if you guys want to talk about it, right? If you're going to give me a date, let me know for certain. I'll put it on my calendar.
Yeah, I'll when we fine tune that one, Ed in the chat says another session on passenger and other content sounds great, please. So yeah. Open invitation to come back, Rich. Absolutely.
Okay. It's fine. I mean, I'm sitting here in my spare room. It's not a problem for me. I know it's when we first chatted. I said, I really don't want to be driving great distance at night any more than likely.
Yeah.
Be too far from home, and
You find that Zoom is more, it reaches more people. People can just, on a cold night like tonight, it's just, you just turn on the computer. And we did meet in person before COVID, and this is easier than you're driving out to Greendell and doing a show in person. So this works for everyone, I think.
Well, yeah, as long as you're on the internet. I mean, some people, I guess, do have an issue, but I mean, this could be worldwide. And I mean, it's like with the Facebook pages. I mean, sometimes I look at the comments, and somebody in Japan, in the Netherlands, just who would have thunk that be looking at my pictures like that, But yeah.
And then on YouTube, people 6 months from now they'll make a comment or something. Somebody will post it on one of the Facebook pages. So yeah, this will live on for let's keep going on and on.
Well, it will, yeah, and definitely, so that's why get the stuff out there, and here I am. So yeah, well, I mean, it certainly won't be an issue. I have no problem with it. So I don't know, I just lost part of my ear. Oh, hang on, something just popped open on me here.
I think somebody, a couple of people.
I don't know, something just happened to my page here. Now, if you can still see me, that was part of my page. There we go, just cleared. Okay, yeah, all right. So, okay, thanks, Rich. Okay, well, you're quite welcome. It's a good audience, and again, not a problem. And look at those Facebook pages, maybe you should be able to find some of my stuff.
Good, yeah, and I don't know if you're a member of our Facebook page, but feel free to post on there too on the Lackawanna Cutoff Historical Committee. You can feel free to.
Yeah, I think I just joined it this afternoon.
Okay, yeah, you can
join or follow. Is that the one you follow?
Yeah, I already approved you. Yeah, so you're on there now. So you're
all right. Okay.
Yeah. Feel free to post on there anything, any upcoming other shows for other groups. Yeah, you feel free.
All right, that's fine. All right.
All right, everyone. It's 9:00 coming up on 9, so we'll call it an evening and stay safe, everyone. And Rich, thanks again, and we'll look forward to it.
Great.